Welcome to the Art of Love podcast. My name is Tamar, Gail, and I am here to guide you into deeper, more expansive love, freedom, and pleasure. A deep inner journey of self-discovery. Here, I will cover all types of topics pertaining to love, including self-love and self-care, relationships, Tantra, intimacy, sex, all the way to Christ Consciousness and Pachamama, just to name a few broad topics. My mission is to support you in being true to yourself, reconnecting the fragmented pieces and aspects of yourself so that you can find and use your own inner fire, Shakti power, and voice. It is time to break down the old systems that we have been taught to live by. I would love to see you align with your personal truth and nature instead of succumbing to others' views of how you should be, trying to fit inside of the box in order to be accepted, and instead standing in your power and loving all that you are, accessing a new way of being in the world. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Art of Love podcast. Today, I'm with Tracy Litt, a certified mindset coach, rapid transformational therapist, self-love expert, and awe-inspiring speaker. She is founder of the Litt Factor. It's a personal growth and coaching company, and also of Worthy Human, which is an inspirational and empowering merchandise line. Tracy's powerful insight, coupled with her direct, loving, and light delivery, has helped countless people transform their lives and businesses from the inside out. Tracy exists to remind you what you're capable of, teach you how to run your mind, and support you in cultivating a phenomenal relationship with yourself. It is through this tremendous self-love and inner power that you can feel, create, and be anything and everything you desire, thus truly achieving lasting transformation. Welcome, Tracy, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm wonderful and very happy to be here.
Great. Well, my first question, something that I love to ask is, what kind of brought you on this path of your work, the sacred work that you're doing in the world?
So, it started really with my own life journey of having lots of different triumphs and have lots of things go, quote, not the way you want them to go or not the way you think life is supposed to look. And I had this real gift of not allowing myself to be a victim of my circumstances, right? And really always looking at whatever was coming my way, whether it was losing my mother at a young age or becoming a single mother when my daughter was a young baby, or, all these various ups and downs that I experienced. I always chose warrior is how I really look at it, right? I always realized I can either become powerless to this circumstance and let it create my life, or I can say, nope, I'm not available for that. I'm more powerful than anything happens to me, and choose my way into wherever it is that I want to be. And that, just became, my friends and family used to joke and they just go, nobody does life better than you. Like, you just really know how to do this. And it became this kind of funny thing. And then I was working in corporate life, and I'm sure like many people can relate or will resonate with this. It was going great, but my soul was dying. I was like, no, like there's more than this. It was fine. I could have continued to live and it would have been fine, but I didn't want fine. I knew that I had more to give, and I knew that I'm gifted. I am gifted in my ability to intuitively connect with people and to call people's bullshit and to help you get out of your own way. So I decided to go back to school as an adult, and which was amazing. It's so interesting because I never was into school as a kid, but when you know what you want to do and you're choosing it, I became like the nerdiest, most obsessive person. Reading and writing and ingesting every piece of information I could. And I became a certified mindset coach. I went back to school again, became a rapid transformational therapist, which is a form of hypnotherapy. And it's been amazing ever since.
Calling people out on their bullshit. I love it.
Yeah. we have to. There's people come to me because they feel, quote, stuck, which I personally dislike that word. Or, they're not feeling how they want, or their business isn't growing, or their life isn't where they want it to be. And the only way to shift is to be willing to see your shit. If you're not, then nothing will change.
That is so true. And it just is reminding me, even in like relationships, and I know this is but I was just having this conversation kind of with myself, thinking about this.
Yes.
And in relationships, when you can't speak honestly, when you can't even be honest with yourself and open up to what is really happening, then your life kind of builds you build up this wall, and the relationships on the exterior, whether it's your business, in your situation, how you work, your business or your relationship, it just kind of, you begin building up these walls, and you begin to create all these problems just because you can't be there and sit with the truth and be honest with what is happening. And so having someone there to say, this is what's going on, to speak the truth is really something that we all need.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually what you just said brings up something I think will be very serving to everyone who's listening. So my husband and I just went away this past weekend, yesterday, for our anniversary. And we have this tradition every year. And it speaks so beautifully to what you're talking about, because we purposefully put our egos away, and we have what we call a marital state of the union. And we sit, and we know that no one's being defensive. It's all coming from love, right? It's all about each one of us sharing what's going on for us, being received, right? Just lovingly, validated, and sharing some things you're like, ew, do I really want to hear that? No, but I really need to, because we're nurturing our relationship. We're two people that are existing together, right? So being able to be honest, not only with yourself, which is what got us on this conversation, but knowing that the only way to enhance and truly have a relationship that's highly connective and it's going to go the distance is your ability to be vulnerable, to say and to hear the things that at first your ego would go, ew, but your soul is like, I get it.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then you can work on it and kind of apply it and move forward. And it's really a magnificent practice.
Exactly. And that is a sacred relationship. That is, being in a relationship with always telling the truth and not being afraid, being vulnerable, and not even being afraid that the other person's going to run.
Absolutely. And, sometimes when it's extra tender or in our normal lives, what I'll do and what I advise a lot of my clients to do is say exactly that, right? It's not like you have to be able to tough guy your way into some kind of conversation. The most beautiful way to share your vulnerability is to say, hey, listen, this is really vulnerable for me. When I'm about to share, it's really challenging for me to get out of my mouth. So if you could please just hold the space, that would be great, right? So you're kind of prepping somebody to let them know that you need a soft place to land because this isn't a strong suit for you.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly. A lot of what we're dealing with that's coming up is our childhood wounds, and it's, all these hurts that we've had from childhood. But when you come into a sacred relationship, when you come into a relationship and say, I'm going to be honest with you and you be honest with me, and let's move through our vulnerabilities and just trust that we're going to hold the space for each other in order to grow, and we're going to be there, then it does make this way for these hurts and woundings to come up, because they're going to show themselves. Yes. And it's like wielding that fire, it's like putting something in fire to be melted and kind of blended together so that you can grow. And I think relationships is such a powerful topic, and it's such an important aspect of our growth as humans if we just allow it to be.
Absolutely. I mean, in all kinds of relationships, whether they be romantic or, parental to child, or business partner to business partner, or boss to employee, or teacher to student. I mean, any relationship as defined by, I was even going to say two people, but it's not even, it's also your relationship with yourself. Right. So, but that's the interesting thing about vulnerability, and why it feels like an uphill battle, because we were never raised in a society that valued it. We were actually raised in direct opposition of that. We were raised, right, don't show your feelings, get it done. Whatever happens outside of you is a direct reflection of your value. If you have something that doesn't look good on the outside, push it down. Don't show anybody. It's shameful. And then we turn around and we wonder why we are where we are.
Yeah.
Which is not a fucking mystery, clearly. Because, like, you know what I mean?
So
Hello.
True. So true.
So the value of starting your relationship in a way where you're conditioning it, right? Because we teach ourselves and we teach people how to treat us through how we interact. So when you can create that safety, that's what vulnerability needs to shine through, right? Because inherent in vulnerability is a rawness and an exposure that makes you feel like you're standing naked in the middle of New York City. Yeah. Right? Like, so to be able to say, like, no, like, this is, I want you to be able to share and I'm going to share is, I mean, I would argue is the most important thing that anybody needs to do. Understanding that our main function and main human need is connection. Without vulnerability, you will never reach the depth of connection that you're capable of.
Yes, the intimacy.
Yeah, absolutely. Which does connect directly to intimacy in the sense of sexual intimacy or emotional intimacy.
Intimacy with self, intimacy with anything. It starts with being vulnerable and just allowing yourself to access those places. Yeah. Oh, totally agree. And vulnerability was a huge lesson in my life because I think I was a teenager and I'm heartbroken, just desperately heartbroken over some guy, I'm sure, and just cried for so long. And then I said, okay, I'm not going to cry again. And I probably went, I don't know if it was 1 year or 2 years without crying.
Wow.
And I built up this huge wall around me. And it was later in life, in my 20s, when a friend, I just refused to cry at the table. I allowed myself to cry at that point, but not in front of people. And she really shook me out of it. And she said, vulnerability is strength. And it just like snapped me out of whatever I had put myself in for years and just completely changed everything for me. But it's just that one sentence, the vulnerability is strength. It's not strength when you're holding it in and being scared to show it. And that just, it changed a lot for me.
I completely agree with her. That's a belief that I often practice with my clients and students. It's, vulnerability is strength. That's your ability to reverse the societal, influence that we've had and really understanding that. And emotion is magnificent and it's human. And, the interesting thing I find with people in emotion is, it's not like your emotion leaves your body any other way. It's not as though if you don't cry it out or you don't release the anger, it's not like it seeps out of the bottom of your feet and you're good to go, right? It sits and piles up in your body and becomes this, what I call like an emotional and mental congestion that needs to come out, like a sinus infection, like a nasal congestion. It's got to come out. It's got to come out so that you can actually feel liberated and feel free. And most importantly, be happy and experience joy. Yeah. Right. It is. It's an important mission that we're all on to really help everybody understand how human it is to be emotional and vulnerable.
Oh yeah. And we're so disconnected from our bodies. I mean, we're so much in our head that we don't even know and we can't even relate when our bodies are hurting due to these built up emotions and these not processing things and how that leads to all these sicknesses that a lot of us are dealing with.
Absolutely. It's funny you say that because my book's coming out in May and I do talk about in it how funny I think it is that we treat our mind and body as if they're not connected. Right? It's as if I took my head off and put it on the desk and my head was talking to you. My body was off doing something else. Like you guys, your head's connected right through the top of your spine into your body. So to not acknowledge that kind of feels insane to me. Right? It's like to not realize, wait a second, Understanding also, in the training I gained as a rapid transformational therapist, the insane percentage of things in our lives that are psychosomatic in origin, right? Even our anxiety, our depression, our physical ailments. You're not born anxious. You're not born depressed. Something happened. And what's going on in your mind and your body is perpetuating that, right? Whatever else is going on for you physically, disease, dis-ease.
Yeah.
You are out of ease. Therefore, something is going to manifest and create through the emotional congestion and through the chronic stress and the constant cortisol and all the things that go on when we're not feeling our feelings and letting it out.
Yeah.
So important. You got to feel your feelings. That's what they're for.
So important. Yes. And how many times, I've dealt with, and I understand the connection between my body, but I've had sciatica issues I had for about a year, and one side. And it took me a little bit. I'm like, why? I was sitting constantly at an office during this time. I'm like, okay, it's a little bit strange, but and then it dawned on me. I'm like, of course, the emotional, there was a lot of emotions that were going on and life changing, everything changing in my life. And when you actually get into the metaphysics of the body, the sciatica was that your life is basically being ripped out from underneath of you.
Interesting. I did not know that. I love this.
And I was just like, wow. Yeah, that makes total sense. Total sense. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, really important to acknowledge that you are one being, right? And everything affects your mind is in constant communication with your body, and your body is in constant communication with your mind. And really just starting to just start there as an acknowledgement, as an awareness, right? Because becoming more aware can become so curative in your ability to notice things that you did not notice before.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that's a beautiful place to start.
And you talk about, what is the name of your book? Is it coming out when?
In May.
Okay. Very soon.
So excited. It's called Worthy Human.
Worthy Human. All right.
Yes.
How
yes.
exciting. And
it's incredible.
Would you like to share anything about your book?
Well, thank you. It's my teachings and coachings drilled down into a really awesome book that is very much how I am. It's very conversational. It's very much, my intention with it was for you to feel like we were hanging out and I was teaching you awesome shit. Right. And you were just like, yes. Because that's how I coach and how I teach. As we are hanging out now, I am very much who I am all the time. So I wrote the book very conversationally that way. And it's really takes you through, because the basis of my work is that no matter what's going on, you are the problem and you are the solution. Right. Yeah. And sometimes, which I happen to smile at, people get agitated when I say you are the problem, which I think is great, because it means that I'm shaking something up in there that needs to be shaken. And there's an awakening that has to occur, right? Because like we started, the top of our conversation was about honesty, right? With yourself and calling your own shit. The best transformations and the most long-lasting change comes when you're finally sick of your own shit and you're like, what am I doing? Right? Like, nobody can want it for you. You have to be ready and at that decision point. So, that's the basis of that. And the underbelly is understanding that you are worthy, right? You are enough. You might have had things happen to you in your life that made you believe that they influenced or impacted your enoughness, but all of that is not true. Nothing ever can impact your worth. It is your birthright. You were born a pure, delicious baby. You will die a pure, delicious old person, God willing. And along the way, nothing outside of you can ever influence your worth. So the way that those two things play in tandem is to be a worthy human is to understand that and to live fundamentally with that ironclad belief. And when you know you are enough, that is when you can own your shit, because you're not worried that owning your shit is going to reflect poorly on you, right?
Yeah.
And the book is organized in choices, because I teach everything based in the power of choice. Right now I'm running something called the Choice Experiment, which is a free 5-day immersive with me. So I'll share the link for your listeners, because it doesn't start till March 4th. But the book is very much in that way, theory about growth, about waking up, and a lot of practical application. Because I am very big on, like, you read it and your mind instantly goes, how? What? What do I do now? Oh my God, she's so right. That made so much sense. Now what do I do? So I kind of bridge the gap there too. It's amazing. It's truly an amazing book.
How exciting. Thank you so much for sharing that. And it comes out in May.
Yes.
Okay. Any particular date, or?
I don't know yet. I'm waiting to hear from my publisher. Right now we're doing exterior design and interior layout and stuff like that.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
And do you have a practice that you do on a regular basis? It doesn't even have to be a daily basis, but a regular basis that keeps you focused and going on your path.
Yes, I'm, as a mindset coach,
Yeah, you probably
I work all the work, because that's really what we need to do. I think when we really realize that the thing in between our ears is a tool, it's another societally wronged us type of thing as well, that we were raised to really think that we were our minds, right? This is what my mind's thinking and doing today. Therefore, this is how I'm feeling and this is what's going on. But through the amazing outcomes and research of neuroscience in the past 30 years, the truth is you're not fixed, and that your brain is not done growing and learning new things and changing. Therefore, you don't have to believe a thought you think. And you can actually learn to utilize this thing as your human technology. And when you do that, when you access that, you then can align into how you want to feel and the action you want to take and what you want to create in your life in a magnificent, magnificent way. And I will add to this, because I feel like it aligns into just energy. Mindset and manifestation are two sides of the same exact coin. So when you learn how to use this thing as a tool, now you're putting yourself in a position to play with quantum physics and universal law in the most magnificent way, right? So it's super awesome. So to answer your question, I guess more directly, I run my mind like I run my mind. I instantly can tell when I am out of alignment with how I want to feel. And then I'm a huge believer in breathing on purpose and really changing the rate, depth, and pattern of your breath to send new oxygen to your brain, to calm your mind down, to drop into your heart, to then be able to say, wait a second, where was my head? What was I focused on? What was I thinking about? Right. And then grab a piece of paper, because writing your thoughts is probably the biggest gift you can do for yourself, and changing them. And then going, oh, now I feel totally different. Let's move on.
Your work sounds fascinating.
It is. It's fascinating and super fun. Super fun.
I love the manifestation and the how all that works with aligning to our thought processes, like in our beliefs, like that's. So I see you work with that as well.
Yes, very deeply. That's rapid transformational therapy. Allows me rather to access your subconscious and go to figure out, okay, what were, to your point before about childhood traumas or things that have happened, what happened to you that taught you what you think you know, right? That taught you the beliefs and the invisible rules that you're running your life under, and being able to help you shift those. And then the mindset piece, which really I look at all of my clients as students, because which I love. I get to teach you. Right. And my intention and hope is that, 20 years from now, this is mainstream in our school system, because if we could teach this now, I mean, the trajectory of youth would change dramatically, because you're not powerless. Yeah. You have all the power, all of it, all of it. There is nothing going on in your life, in your business, in your relationships that you are not choosing. Nothing. But you need to learn how to choose, which is where the choice experiment came in.
Well, that would be amazing if they would. And I think that it will be one day in the future.
Agreed. It can't not be. I think now we're on this kind of, it's interesting. 20 years ago, everybody bought white bread, right? White bread and Hostess and whatever. Now you buy Ezekiel or multigrain, right? It's kind of like, that's the analogy. Same thing with the consciousness revolution that's upon us. People are paying attention. They're going, oh my God, I don't need a medication for my medication. Maybe I need to go within myself, right? And start to become aware. So I have to bring this up because last night I was watching TV and there was an ad for depression. And they were talking about, if your antidepressant isn't fully working, and I have nothing, listen, if you need clinical medication, this is not an argument against medication. This is an argument about thinking that just because you're on medication, you don't need to own your shit or actually pay attention to yourself, right? So it was, hey, if your antidepressant isn't working, here's one that complements, let's give you a second one that complements where your current antidepressant is deficient. And I lost it. My husband, I was like, yeah, and maybe you'll lose your leg or you'll go blind or you'll grow horns. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I'm like dying laughing right now. Of course.
I'm like, I don't even understand what is wrong. So my message to the world is, because I am not a prescribing physician, right? That is not my intention nor my space. So it's great. You do what you need to do for you. But if you are taking medication, don't you dare think that you're done. Because you're not. You still have to heal. You still need to grow. You still need to run your mind, right? And you still need to build a relationship with yourself, because then you'll actually start to feel better.
Yes. And then you'll be that's in your power.
Correct.
That's in your power back.
Yes.
And yeah.
Right. I know. I was cracking up. My husband was cracking up too. I was like, this is insane.
So if this pill's not working, take this pill too.
Right, exactly. Let's supplement the pill you're already taking. Like, instead of actually digging a little bit deep and doing some work and not feeling like you're a victim of your life.
But that's been our society for, you could say hundreds, if not hundreds of years. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why this, what I feel like is this consciousness revolution, right, is here. Yeah. It's here. There's a reason why coaching is the third largest growing industry in the world.
Yes.
Right. And that, we have mainstream ways to help you. Have meditation apps, right? Like all of these things that are at your fingertips that are all speaking to personal development, healing, growth.
And people are searching for it.
Yes.
They're really craving to understand themselves and to go a little bit further now.
Yes.
To have a deeper connection. I think we've just been disconnected for so long that we're looking for more connection, even within ourselves. And
I would say, I would argue starting with yourself, right? Because that's where it all begins. Everything comes out of you.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where the work starts.
Yeah. And I'm so happy to see the schools now. And I don't know if it's this way in the US. They're doing more some yoga and meditations in different school systems now.
That's amazing. It's not as mainstream here. There are a few that are, I would say trying it on, but not yet. But it'll come.
It will come. Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy for that. At least things are changing. And it will. Yes. And you started this work a long time ago, because you started working on yourself, doing these processes yourself. When you were how old then? Because
what's interesting about it is my mother, may she rest in peace, who was the most amazing woman. towards the end of her life, she started finding all of this work.
Mm-hmm.
So, I would say for a good 5 years before she left us, she was digging in. She became a spiritual healer. She was doing workshops. It was amazing. So it gave me a foundation.
Wonderful.
That was a huge gift.
Yes.
So I really, my family will often say, like, I've just kind of picked up where she left off. And now I've taken this, into this place that if she was here, she'd be like, right alongside me doing it, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So it started then. And then, then the universe was speaking to me, and kind of trying to wake me up with all these instances that were going on in my life. And that's when I finally was like, okay, I have to change, because whatever you're experiencing is coming out of you. So there was stuff going on in me that, I wasn't willing to not address. So that's when, the growth started. And I was still in my corporate job, but I was doing my work, my inner work. And then it was, okay, I can no longer sit here as much as this is fine. My soul is dying. And I know I have the ability and gift to reach thousands of people in changing their lives and helping them build a relationship with themselves and running their mind and all these things. And that's when ultimately I kind of, I manifested a layoff actually from the job I was in. And it was great. And that was it. And then I launched the business a few years ago, and it's been incredible.
Amazing. Congratulations on that. And I love how the universe just lines it up and shows us the way when we're actually aware and looking, aware that of what's around us.
Yes.
And I think that has to do with the connection between the body mind as well. Just being aware of what is around us and
and being willing to see it. You know what I mean? It's like, if you don't want to see it, you will not see it. And that goes to the way your mind works. Like you will always see what you look for, and when you're open and going, I'm ready for the guidance, show me what you got. So all of a sudden, right, you start to, you're like, oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Awesome.
So true. So true. You have children.
3 of them. Yes.
Yeah. So maybe just how you introduced this to your children, how you've kind of like brought this into your family dynamics.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what's so interesting, I've been asked before, so how do you, handle it all? I have 3 teenage daughters. I do cover my gray, and I'm very proud of that. And, my husband, who's incredible, and it's our second marriage. So, we have co-parenting things going on, and then I'm running this incredible business, and I'm becoming an author, and everybody will say, well, how do you, find balance, right? And I don't believe in balance, actually. I think that balance makes us crazier and creates a self-inflicted pressure that is really unnecessary, right? Because it's another thing to achieve. It's another thing to strive for. Do you have balance? The way that I like to play with it, that I have found serving for me and my clients, is a commitment to being present to wherever you are in the moment.
I love that.
Right? So whether or not you spend 3 hours here, 5 hours here, it's not about a balanced scale. It's simply about the commitment to say, I'm hanging out with you right now. I put my blinders on, and it's you and I. Whatever's going on, I don't know what's happening around me, and it doesn't matter, because this is our time, right? Same thing. When my kids get home from school, let's say they're all home by 4:00, from 4 to 6, girls, I'm here with you. No, I won't respond to my clients' Voxers. No, I won't check my email. No, I won't be on Facebook. It's my own boundary, right?
Yes.
Same thing. Then I will go back and do work at night. And when I am doing work, I'll tell the girls, I love you. You do your homework. This is my work time. And here I am again, blinders on, in full presence with my clients, with my students, doing what I need to do, right? So that to me is a huge gift for anyone who, is Wonder Woman, because we all are. Somewhere on the spectrum. We're all Wonder Woman. So really understanding, okay, it's not so much about balance and giving yourself another thing to strive for. It's about creating boundaries, right? Come from love and have boundaries like a maniac. Like that's just, you have to. And be present where you are. And then you'll always feel fueled, right? And you'll always feel satiated instead of this feeling of touching a bunch of things all day and getting to the end of the day and going, what did I actually do?
And feeling depleted.
Wickedly depleted and totally energy sucked because from a mindset standpoint, because you're context switching all day and you're not actually giving your mind anywhere to focus into. So it like does all these half or quarter things throughout the day and nothing is actually done fully or to completion. And your mind likes completion. That's part of how you start to build your self-esteem from the back end. Every time you say, oh, I did this. Even if it was you committed to finishing 2 elements of the program you're putting out, right? It's not about the program being done. It's just like, oh, I did those 2 things. Yay. Oh, and then I sat with my kid and I listened to what was going on in their day. And then I gave my husband or wife a little bit of love. It's just really coming from that space. I think is huge. Yeah.
Wonderful. And boundaries are so important. And I've always noticed when I go past my boundaries, you feel it. Like I feel it right away, especially,
instantly.
Okay. You have to step
especially
back.
Especially when you're so in touch with your body, like you're describing, you instantly know like, ooh, depleted's a great word for it. It's like, oh God, no, I can't, not going to do this to myself again. Yeah. And that's okay. And then I would say even in that moment too, because, you're a human being. Mm-hmm. And unless you became superhuman recently, let us know, right? But you're human. So when you do have that moment where you didn't enforce a boundary or you tried to be all things to everybody, just pause and love yourself, right? Meet yourself with compassion and love and just go, hey girl, I love you. It's great. Tomorrow we can recommit to that other thing we want to do. But right now, meet yourself. You're the most important person in your entire life. You are the most important person in your entire life. And it's really, really time to start treating yourself accordingly.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. That was, I think something that a lot of women, and I know men do as well, they have issues around boundaries and being fully present and knowing how to set those moments and get everything done and accomplished in a day. And it's mindset, it's boundaries, it's self-love, and yes, it's all of those things. Yeah. Wow. And how can the listeners find you?
So they can find me at www.thelitfactor.com. So it's lit with 2 T's.
Okay.
And online on Facebook at The Lit Factor, Instagram, The Lit Factor. And if you are interested, I have so many videos on the Lit Factor page on Facebook. You could do your own growth work for weeks and weeks and weeks watching everything that's there. So please do. It's great stuff. And if you're interested in accessing more power, I'd love to invite everybody to join the choice experiment. I'll give you the link so that you can share it if that works for you.
Yes, please do.
And it doesn't start until March 4th, but you can get into the group right now. And the shifts that are happening already are amazing. It is absolutely a place where you will take your power back.
Yeah. Amazing. I might try to join that as well.
Yes, I would love it. It's fun. And that's the other thing too. It's all fun. Life is meant to be light. We make it heavy. It doesn't need to be heavy. Just, lighten up, enjoy, have fun with it. That's why I always say growth is fun. It doesn't need to be this heavy, intense thing because then you'll scare yourself out of doing it. Just it's all good.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much for this conversation today. And is there anything else that you'd like to share with the customers?
I just want everybody to know that you are enough and you are worthy and you are deserving of nothing less than everything you've ever dreamed of. And you truly have inside of you everything you need to make that a reality.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. This was awesome. I loved it. It was so just easy and conversational. And this is what it's all about, letting people in on really great conversations that can become life-changing.
Exactly. Thank you again and have such a wonderful day.
Thank you. You too. I'll see you soon.
And thank you everyone for joining us for The Art of Love. And I look forward to connecting with you again next Wednesday. May we go out into the rest of this week embodying more love for ourselves, love for others, and love for Pachamama, Mother Earth. So love to each and every one of you, and see you next week.